Good afternoon everybody, and today we are back with the Panasonic NV7200, and it appears that I have resolved the system control issues. Now, a little bit of a story. Back in 92, I was given an NV7200, condition unknown, from very kindly given it by my Auntie Sue and Uncle Chris. Being the inquisitive teenager that I was 13 at the time, I decided to take it apart. So I took it apart and for some reason, I saved all of the circuit boards, including this system control board here. You can see the other system control board behind it. Here, that's a mouse for the RISC PC, incidentally, but here are all of the, or certainly the majority of all of the other circuit boards from it, including the clock and tuner. This board, which looks like it's got an RF can on it, that is, I want to say that's probably RF output. The power supply board, I don't know where the heatsink and other bits have gone, but I do have this. And, funnily enough, this little capacitor here, which is the one that we replaced the other day, has started to leak. So that seems like they must have done that at quite a young age. This hasn't actually been touched since the early 90s. This is a front panel board, which is handy. For some reason, when I was younger, I took off all of these sort of RF caps just to see what was underneath, RF covers, just to see what was underneath there. We've also got the servo board here, and I don't think I did any twiddling on this, but we don't have any servo problems, so that can sit there. What we do have, though, is the chrominance and luminance board, and we do know that we are having problems with that particular board. So what I'm going to do is to actually swap out this entire board. Now, being an inquisitive youngster, I did just pull off one of the delay lines, so I'm going to have to resolder off of this board, take this delay line and solder it onto this board. Now, I think the problem is with one of these integrated circuits. There is a number of a number of stock faults which do seem to tie in with these integrated circuits. Same on this board. I think it was the MM1405 microcontroller which was causing me the problems on the other board. So for example, if I eject the cassette, do you see, let me do that again. So if I put the cassette in, it latches in place properly. But if I eject the cassette, do you note that the loading mechanism goes back and then laces forward slightly, so that when you press this down, it latches into place. That comes over, that switch is activated. We were not seeing this on the, with the other board. Now, I'm wondering, because I was doing some work within the power supply, because I replaced that capacitor, I'm wondering if there was a spike which killed that microcontroller. It's quite possible. It's also, it could be something else completely. So the microcontroller itself does have, well, there's like one electrolytic there, and that really is about it. The reason why I'm board swapping, it's not something I normally like to do, but the fact is I've got the boards, they are here, and I can make use of them. Also, a lot of the troubleshooting with this machine involves having to use a scope, and at the moment I don't currently have a scope, an oscilloscope that is. So to rather just to sort of try and get the machine working, I'm going to do it the sort of quick and dirty way of basically just taking boards out, swapping them out, putting them back in again. This one is definitely going in because it seems to have resolved my Syscon issue. This one, I am going to swap it out and we're going to see if it makes a difference to the quality of the picture. Already replaced the video heads with brand new old stock heads. This is the board that will be going on, and I don't think I've been too overzealous with anything on this one. All of the connectors look okay. The only thing I have been a bit overzealous on is basically I wanted to see what was inside a delay line. And I pulled the delay line off of there, but as you can see it's just 4 points to solder, so I'm going to just unsolder the other one, pop it onto this board and see what happens. I've also noticed, this is possibly why this machine was out of action, is there is signs of contamination on here. So this is possibly the reason why this machine was actually sort of taken out of service. There is a bit of corrosion on those components. I'm going to do a very basic cleanup first off using some isopropyl propyl alcohol and a toothbrush. And if that isn't enough, then I will replace each of these individual resistors. But I just want to see what happens if I plug this in. So anyway, let's see how it goes. I will see you shortly. So a bit of an update. One of the articles I read said that you could be, with the picture quality I was getting, you could be missing control head sync pulses. Although audio seems to obviously be fine. So what I've discovered is these two capacitors, which is next to this chip here. I think this chip is the amplifier for the control heads. I will need to check that though, so I'm not certain, but it would make sense given that the two capacitors that were causing a problem on the machine that was mentioned, which was an NV7000, is C2040 and C2039. C2040 was registering a very low farad rating. This one was registering okay, but to be honest, because I do have two of these in my collection, as in capacitors rather, I will replace both. For the both, let me just double check my reference board because I lost one of the capacitors. They are both, if we look here, so we're looking at 20, here we are, AN6350, sorry, yeah, that's the one. That is, they are both 16 volt, 47 microfarads. So I'm going to replace both of those. Obviously on these boards you have the little semicircle there, or the little crescent, which denotes the negative side of the capacitor. So let's get both of those replaced. So I just wanted to give an NV7200 update. This is where we are at the moment. Now I've replaced a couple of other capacitors. So I've replaced these ones up here, which I think are next to the control head amplifier. I've also replaced C3018 down here, which is apparently known to cause issues. And I think I've tracked the issue down to this APC control. So this is actually a variable, I think it's a variable capacitor, C8064. As at the moment, colour playback, if I take that out, goes to black and white. So I think by just literally adding, sort of sticking my, sorry, let me just find it again. Literally just adding sort of my body, sort of effectively sort of grounded my body to it, I am actually adding some additional I can't say the word. Basically, I'm making it work. So I got my spare boards here. I think I'm going to unsolder the variable capacitor and replace it to see if that solves the problem. If it doesn't, then I will probably see if I can find something which will make it work, perhaps just sort of limit it to a standard single capacitor. Anyway, the tracking's a bit out at the moment, so I have been playing around with the onboard tracking control, so I'm just going to give that a bit of a tweak and see if that makes any difference. But colour playback, which is something we didn't have previously, and it's relatively steady. I think that's a pretty good bit of progress. Anyway, speak to you shortly. So I've been working with this for the majority of the afternoon, and so I've still got this weird problem whereby if I earth myself to here, which is the APC preset, it seems to work fine, although now it's sort of dropping in and out of colour slightly. I tried soldering in one from my spare board, but that seemed to take this chip out, so I've actually taken the chip off of this board and put it into a 16-pin socket. Sorry, I thought there was something on there. No, sorry, that's just some isopropyl from when I was cleaning this earlier. And I've actually put it into a 16-pin socket, and it seems to be quite happy in there. Which just means that when I actually soldered it, I wasn't overheating the chip. So yeah, it's such a strange fault. But what I do have is I've got the tracking is now pretty much perfect. So that is tracking dead center. Syscon issue is resolved. The picture is, if I switch to monochrome, is absolutely perfect in monochrome. And if I switch to colour, it's still dropping out, but we're getting a lot more colour than we were previously. And if I earthed, basically just sort of earth or use a completely metal screwdriver against the APC control, I get slightly washed colour. So yeah, go figure. It's a very strange fault. I'm not sure if there is a problem with the supply to the chip or one of the leading capacitors or something along those lines. I'll need to trace back where that chip is getting its signal from, and that should allow us to troubleshoot a bit further. But for the minute, we're doing a lot better than we were. So it still needs a bit of work, but it is getting there. And I am glad I sorted out that Syscon problem, because that would have been a killer otherwise. But yeah, as you can see now, it's now performing as it should. Well, albeit from the lack of colour, but it's doing a lot better than it was. Anyway, we've come quite a long way with this machine. If you have found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Thank you very much for watching, take care, and see you soon.